I think the first question is something that you expected.
I expected the first question.
It's always the thing that everyone asks Vanna. How do you find Ireland?
Let me guess. Can I guess?
No, it's too late. How do you find Ireland now? No, genuinely, what do you think of Ireland? Has there been any culture shock or like compared to Hungary and Spain?
Can I just say what I thought would be the question that everyone was wondering about?
Yeah, sure. Say it.
Why do I have this in my office?
Well, I know that.
Yeah, but I thought you're gonna be asking questions that you might not, like, you know the answer to, but anyway, so how do I find Ireland? I'm gonna try to behave like a proper guest. Ireland is an amazing country. It's very green. Nature is beautiful here. Sunshine is not.
Are you at gunpoint right now? There's someone in the room. Are you in danger? Can you blink twice if you're in danger? I think you could take him.
Honestly, I like it here, but moving to Ireland from Spain was quite a big contrast because I love Spain. I lived there for a decade, and the cool thing about Spain, one of the many cool things, is that there's this yellow thing in the sky, and it's sunny also in the winter. So it's kind of like 365 days of brightness and cheerful weather, and that also boosts your mood. So I think in Ireland, the challenge to me was that to try to stay that positive and cheerful without the good weather.
Yeah, I think the same. Like I didn't realize until the past like 2 or 3 years how much the sun impacts your mood, and maybe that's because we just didn't see it, because the summers have gotten a little bit better, but like even recently it's just that 15 minutes where you can be like, oh, I'll have my coffee in the sun. It's so much better for your mood. I think Ireland would be one of the nicest countries. I think it is still one of the nicest countries from a scenic point of view, but I think it would be like one of the best places to live if the weather was nice.
I agree with you. And also when everywhere in Europe there was a heat wave like a year and a half ago, I think the summer of 2019, Ireland was one of the few countries where it was just about 20 degrees Celsius. It was a very pleasant summer. I went back to Spain that July, I think, for a few days, and I could barely sleep. It was almost 40 degrees Celsius the entire day, even at night. And that's just way too hot. So, of course, it has its downsides as well. Ireland, I agree. Overall, it's a great country. It's lovely here. People are so kind. I felt being welcomed, even if I thought it was part of the UK, and you pay with pounds.
Yeah.
Right?
Anna, the first time she came to Ireland, kept talking about, I need to get to an ATM. I need to get to an ATM. And I was thinking to myself, I was just like, yeah, sure, we'll get to an ATM. And I was thinking like, why does she want to go to an ATM so bad? It's just like, you just pay with card. And then finally, when we were going to an ATM, she was like, oh, I'll get some pounds. And I was like, sorry? We're not in the United Kingdom. We're a different country.
And this coming from someone who travels quite a lot, so like I should have known. My mom is an art and geography teacher, so I wasn't very proud of that moment of mine of just like not knowing. And
you had just met one of my friends at that point, and even him, he was just like, what you say? I turned around and said like like almost shock.
And he was like, I thought chess players are smart. Almost like that.
I think you have to take a jab after that one. But yeah. I think like from a culture point of view, like I feel like a lot of similarities are there between Spanish people and Irish. This is coming from someone who's like been in Spain like twice, so I'm super knowledgeable on the subject. But like we just seem the same kind of, it'll be grand, only they do it with an accent. But it's the same idea of like laid back, like we'll do it when we do it kind of thing. I think Irish people are super nice, but maybe a little less like immediately nice. Like even I think you noticed that again, a friend like and is a hug person, Not anymore for obvious reasons, but back then...
I can no longer be a hug person. But I give virtual hugs. I have a group emote as well. Group hug emote.
But like you went to hug one of my friends as an introduction and he literally ran away. Because that's the Irish way. It's like, oh no, Jesus, no. We're not there yet, no.
I don't know you enough to get a hug.
But other than the weather, has there been any other cultural things or... I know the accent is a struggle. Occasionally,
I was gonna say
you will struggle with people.
It's a cute accent. Like, I really like your accent. So if everyone talks like you, I would find it charming. But there are different types of Irish accent I had to realize once I moved here. And some of them I don't understand. So they speak English. They are English words that they would articulate, but the accent can be so thick or so much regional, and I don't know that region's accent, that I don't know what they're saying. And then I'm just like, on the phone or at a store when you're supposed to be giving answers, but you don't even understand the question. And I'm afraid of asking back because I don't want to be rude, but I don't know what they are saying.
Yeah, it's a strange one, all right, for such a small country. Like, is it the same in other countries, like Hungary and Spain and stuff, where you could go half an hour down the road and the person, like, sounds like they're from literally another country?
I think in Hungary, not so much, but Spain is much larger, and also there are basically different languages within Spain. Like, I don't understand any Catalan. I don't speak Catalan. That would be Barcelona and Catalonia. That's an entirely different language. Or the north of Spain, or even Galician Spanish. There are so many different autonomous regions in Spain that they have basically their own languages. So in that case, it's not just the accent, but also they would have their own words or phrases or entirely new languages.
Yeah, like, I mean, we do have the dual languages, and learning our native language of Gaelic is compulsory for 12 years, 11 years. But not a single person I know can actually have a conversation in Gaelic because it's just not used. There's certain areas that it'll be used in, but for the most part, it's a forgotten language. Like
Sláinte.
Oh, sláinte.
Sláinte.
Or lawn chair,
it's
whichever
like, I know
you prefer.
Too. That's the thing that... So sláinte is, I guess, cheers, but I always need to think because we used to joke that it's lawn chair. Like, it sounds like lawn chair and not sláinte. So every time I try to say it, I need to think which one is the jokey one and which one is the real one. I wasn't 100% sure when I said sláinte if it's the jokey one or the real one.
Yeah, I remember we were doing that, and then someone just turned to us, and I think to me, because you're not Irish, and just went, "You are the worst thing that happened to Ireland since the famine." It's just like, I just couldn't get over that. It was good.
Yep, the sláinte and fáilte.
But accents aside, other than the accents, the weather, Ireland's okay, is what you're saying.
I really like it here, yes.
5 out of 10, at least.
12 out of 10. Because of the company.
This doesn't match up, though. Like you just said that the weather would... It's fine.
It's the
fine.
Company that makes up for the most points and the bonus points.
What if the company went to a different country then? What's the country on its own? You gotta rate the country.
I'm following the company. I'm not
Jesus,
staying
you
here.
hate Ireland. Jesus Christ. I finally got to the root.
Someone save me.
It's grey all the time. Oh. Anyway.
No, I really like it. I think if it had a bit more sunshine, it would be a perfect country to live.
But I think because it's not super sunny, that's like half its charm as well, because of it's so green and beautiful that way. But
true,
you
nature,
can't have it all.
It does help for nature.
It looks nice.
There are so many amazing places in Ireland that literally is just like walks away from your home or city where you are. So like if you go there, they would be like a natural park in other countries, but here is just like next to the road, it's just trees. It doesn't have to be a natural park or any kind of fenced away space. It's just how things are here. Any land is beautiful here, and it's true that in Spain, when we were flying over some of the Spanish cities and just landing in Spain, basically when we were in the south of Spain, everything looked just so dry and brown, and we are lacking trees and bushes and nature.
It's just a shock for me all the time because I'm just so used to the green. But then on the other side of it, like when you first came to Ireland and we were driving down this called the dual carriageway, it's basically just like a double wide road, one way either side. Yeah. And you were just like, this country's so pretty. And I was like, this isn't even the nice area. This is just like a road.
That's what I'm saying. It's everywhere. It's not like you go to a specific hiking location or a park. It's everywhere. It's everywhere that pretty and green.
But like,
so
even
that's absolutely a bonus.
Like even within like 5 kilometers of here, I know of, there's probably another one, but I know of 2 castles that are just like on private land. It's just some farmer bought the land and now he's a castle on his land. Just ruined the castle, and it's like, it's pretty nuts that happens in a country. Like, we're kind of used to it now, but for other countries that must seem so weird. Like, you're just walking down a country lane, it's like, oh, that fella's a castle. I looked at it on Google, the satellite image, and he's just storing hay in it. It's like an old castle and he's just storing hay in it. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's certainly something that I wasn't familiar with.
Yeah, you just take it for granted, I suppose, these things that like you could visit so many castles within like half an hour wherever you are.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about Ireland. I just like talking about my home country.
It's okay, you're 110% Irish, so I know that this is your favorite topic.
Yeah, that's worrying. 100% is worrying enough. 110 is too far. What was I going to say to you? Country aside, I just wanted to talk about your content and stuff like that, because I don't think I ever really found out exactly why you shifted from competing to content. Like, I don't know, was that a gradual change, or did you one day decide that I can't compete anymore, it's not for me, I don't like the stress? Because I imagine for most of your life you must have been trying to work towards this competing and trying to get better and better, and then all of a sudden you're just deciding it's not for me.
Yeah, that's true. Shall I make a rough timeline for those who may not know?
Yeah, do.
My name is Anna, and my dream as a kid was to become a chess Olympian. It's not part of the Summer Olympics or the Winter Olympics, but chess counts as an Olympic sport, and we have every 2 years a chess Olympiad. So when I started playing as a kid, I decided that since I was playing at the scholastic tournaments that it was going well, then the national tournaments, under 12 group and under 14, just kids and teenager groups, I was doing well. But I thought that since I was so into chess and I started going to chess lessons, training, because you can train at chess too, with all sorts of not physical challenges, but mental challenges, I really wanted to be on the Olympic team. As a kid, I cut out the emblem of the Olympic team from a vitamin box because they were the sponsors. That vitamin brand was one of the sponsors of the Olympic team of Hungary. So I cut out their logo and I glued it onto a picture of mine that was me as a kid playing chess. And I don't know why I did this, because now as a grown-up,
do you have it?
But I have a picture of it. I should have prepared. Wait, I might have it. Do you want me to check?
No need to go looking now, but I'd like to see that. That would be worth tweeting out at some point, I think.
I should have it, yeah. I just don't know how easy that I would find it. But what I was saying about that is that I did this when I was like 12 or 13, and I don't know how I ended up doing this, because now as a grown-up, of course, I know about things like visualization, that you should know your goals, also just picture it, and you know where you are going, you fight for it, you basically almost feel how it will be when you get there, all those kind of techniques that people talk about, but a 12-year-old doesn't know that. So I just did this because I thought it would motivate me, and I had this picture on my wall for a good 8 to 9 years before I achieved it. So it took me almost 10 years from the moment I cut out the emblem of the vitamin box to actually making it to the Olympic team. But I think it helped a lot that I had this picture on the wall, because it motivated me also when I didn't feel like training. It motivated me when I felt like I didn't want to study or practice. So it kept me going also when I didn't feel like, because oftentimes, not just in chess, but with anything, with work and homework, anything that you need to do, I think it's just difficult to start if you lack the motivation or if you don't feel like doing something. But that picture helped me a lot. Fast forward 2008, I'm on the Olympic team, and I played on the Olympic team for almost a decade. I was on the Olympic team for almost another 10 years. Kevin, when he met me, he was like, wait, how old are you?
Excuse me? I did not say that at all.
No, but you said it in a way like, because I was telling him that then I got onto the Olympic team in 2008, so he thought I was some kind of a child prodigy, which is him. You are the child prodigy.
That's what I said. I was like, oh, you're like a child prodigy then. And then you were like, oh no, I think I'm older than you. And I was like, I don't think so. I really didn't think you were. Now my chat thinks I'm super rude, and I just went like, how old are you?
No, sorry, I didn't mean it that way.
What name and how old you?
I didn't quote him. It was just more like the impression of like being surprised that I couldn't start at the age of -5, or like, how did I make it? And that I shaved my beard, that's why I look younger.
That's a good tip. I think I might do the same soon, because then I'll look all baby face and it'll shave years off my look. I'll still move around like a pensioner, but at least I'll look younger. Oh, that's how young I'd look if I was clean shaven walking down the street with my little stick. I'd look amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry I cut you there because I remembered about the the shock at the age, but I was on the Olympic team for almost 10 years, and somewhere midway in 2013, I was called for the first time to a studio. It was a proper studio in Hamburg, Germany, where I recorded my first ever video series. So my task was to record a tutorial for beginners, how to play chess and teach the basics of what do you do at the start of the game, how to play for a checkmate, all the basic concepts that I used to teach, because at the time I was already living in Spain, working especially with children. I was teaching in kindergarten and primary school, very, very young age groups up to 10, 12-year-olds, about chess. The very basics again on how the pieces move to more and more advanced. So as a teacher, I did have experience, but I never in my life had to talk into the camera. And just the whole feeling of hitting the record button and that you're supposed to know what you should say, but then you make a mistake. So I then do a retake, and then I go back because I make another mistake 2 minutes later. And it was my first ever week in a studio filming videos was awful, in a sense that I knew the material, but I didn't know how to be a presenter, how to behave in front of the camera, how to do just anything related to what you do, how to be a natural on camera.
So that's not the case. We can go into that in a moment when you finish your story.
It's a long one though, so you feel free to take segues.
I'm just that just makes me think that, like, I see so many people messaging me and just being like, oh, how do I do videos like you? Because when I do it, I seem awkward. And it's like, I was also very awkward when I started. I think everyone is. And I don't mean to talk it up, because it is not a very hard job, but it's definitely like a skill in some ways. It's just a matter of getting used to it. Because it's really unnatural. Like I had a friend who recently tried to make a video, and they were just like, I just couldn't do it. I was just doing the intro over and over again, and it was just me going, hello, and then restarting over and over again. So it's just a matter of just being yourself, but it takes a while to actually allow yourself to do that, I guess, and feel comfortable.
To me, it was like I really wanted to do it, so I was motivated to learn, and luckily I didn't give up, just because that first experience was like more of a shock than a pleasant one. Like I overall wanted to do it and I was motivated, but I clearly liked the experience and the skills. I haven't done any training. That's not my education. I didn't know how to do things. But because of that first week in the studio, and then they called me back a few months later for more videos and also some live streams a couple of months later, I started doing more and more research on how to do things. So I'm the type of person that would go and look up TED Talks and other YouTube videos, or even talk shows where I can learn more about presentation skills, interview skills when it was for reporting, and just, you know, you learn as you go, kind of thing.
You can tell you've put a lot of work into being the presenter. Would you say is the correct word for it?
I think so. I think for most of my job, so I've done many different things when it comes to, from that original recording video series for chess beginners mainly, it has been a lot of broadcasting as well, reporting on tournaments with interviews, but also presenting the tournaments. I think it's an overall journal, like kind of like a reporter slash journalist, but always in front of the camera. So something that used to be super uncomfortable to me and I didn't know how to do has become my main job, even before having my own Twitch channel and just becoming a content creator. I think nowadays I'm a content creator, but back then I was a chess broadcaster.
Yeah. You kind of went in reverse. Like most people would, if they had that story, it would be the other way around, where they started making videos and Twitch streams, but you went doing the official stuff, and like right in there in a studio in front of people must have been incredibly awkward and difficult to do. What you can tell, like even your mannerisms when you talk, you're very presentery, and like you, even like when you were saying it, yeah, you could be doing sign language for all I know. Maybe you are just accommodating everyone. But I noticed that even when I first met you, I think I even told you that it was like there's a lot of like confirmation that she's listening. It's like turning to you and like nodding and all the expressions and hand movements. It's very presentery that you've picked up over the years, I guess.
I'm glad if it comes across that way, although I guess for streaming I should try to just take that professional broadcaster layer off, because people want to see the person, not the professional layer. But I didn't have that originally, so it was a long time to be discomfortable on camera. And also just the initial feedback hurt me a lot, like YouTube comments. That's an entire different topic on like how some of the comments on YouTube can be very hurtful, especially when you're just starting out. So I obviously wasn't doing too well. Like I think I can do a lot better now than in 2013, but I was just beginning, and people were hating on my voice. They were saying that it's a pain to listen to me. Just a lot of things about, like, it had nothing to do with the material, but it was because I wasn't experienced. I know that I used to speak very fast, because when I'm nervous, I used to speed up, and my intonation the pitch of my voice would go higher. So it's true that it probably didn't feel that natural or good to listen to. But again, it was so hurtful that I was doing a lot of research on how to make your voice more pleasant, so to say, to listen to, in a sense, like, because it's so hurtful when people say things like that, because at the start I thought, okay, there's something wrong with my voice. And nowadays, if I get feedback on my voice, people kind of say the opposite, that it's more like an ASMR voice, that it's nice to listen to. And it's the same person, same voice. I just have seen a lot of TED Talks and other YouTube videos about how to project your voice. And I remember one video that was specifically saying, your voice is an instrument. There's no such thing as good voice or bad voice. It's how you use it, and how you use breath and pauses and intonation and pitch. And it was an eye-opening thing for me to see that video and realize that I decide how my voice sounds in that sense.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of the same I find with singing. And I don't know where I read it, but a few years back, I was reading something about singing, and someone said, it just described it perfectly, that it's like your voice is kind of like your clothes. And when you're trying to sing another song, if you're trying to mimic their style, you're trying to wear their clothes, but their clothes don't fit you. You got to wear your own clothes and do it your way.
I like that sentence.
Yeah,
I was just gonna add to that. I wish that this applies to singing, because I cannot sing as much as your voice is your own instrument. Singing skills.
But I think the problem with that you ran into, which is a really rare problem with coming on into an established platform when you've not had the time to grow. Like, I think when a person like me just says, I want to make YouTube videos, I'm going to do like 10 videos and no one's going to see them except for me and whatever friends I bug to see them. And then I'm like 20 videos in, still no one I don't know has seen me. And I keep going and going, and eventually you kind of like pick up speed, you get better. So it must be weird to be totally untrained and in this foreign area of work and having all these people watching you. It's the same as doing any job. If you were a plumber, your first ever job, and then 1,000 people are just watching you fix the toilet and they're all just screaming at you because you can't do it. It's a really rare situation you found yourself in, I think.
You're right that in that sense it's hopefully not what most creators go through, because you start as a small channel and then you grow. But in cases like this, we were on other platforms. So chess.com is a chess site, chess24 another chess site, and I have been working with most chess platforms, even up to now, even up to present day. If I do a broadcast on another platform, not my own channel, there are comments that are still hurtful, maybe not about my voice anymore, but on other things. They can tear me apart, literally, from other channels.
Well, there's a lot of cruelty on the internet with that anonymous factor at play. Like there is just a lot of people out there who are just hateful, and then there's other people who are just, they got nothing else going on, and you got kids as well, which you got to keep in mind. But yeah, it's just a tricky bit of like taking on constructive criticism and feedback, and disregarding the people who are just trash talking you for no reason.
You're
but
right.
It's super hard to adjust to, and I can't imagine just jumping in at the deep end and either sinking or swimming, because I think I would have just sank. I don't think many people would keep going if you were getting that level of hate and being, I could just do this other thing that I've been doing already. Like, no one hates me here. I go over here and everyone's just criticizing me. So I think that tells about the person as well, that you actually stuck with it. I think most people wouldn't.
Thank you. I'm in a happier place now, in that sense that I obviously think that my community is the best, and your community as well has been very kind to me. Even if I'm a Minecraft noob and I get trapped by Rolf the Darkness constantly.
Do you think you found your calling with the whole content creation and presenting rather than the chess playing? Because it must be weird to be a kid and being like, I want to do this, and this is your whole focus, that you decided when you were a child. You're not an adult. You can't like objectively weigh things up and decide, is this a good idea or not? You like predetermined your own destiny as a kid, and then you decide at some point, this isn't for me.
I think right now I'm really happy with what I'm doing, and I couldn't picture a different job. But obviously back then I couldn't have predicted this. No. Content creation wasn't even a thing when I was a child. Like, guys, I'm not 12 anymore, not even 24. I'm 33. I'm 33. I was born in 1987. So when I was a kid, a lot of things were not even created. I'm just trying to think what were the differences between your childhood and mine. So there's 6 years of difference, but most of the things would be similar. In terms of chess, though, it's an ancient game, so it's even older than me. And I think I never answered your question fully about the competition side on when I stopped. Because first, after a few years of working in a studio and getting more and more comfortable with broadcasting and presenting, I liked it from the first time, even though I wasn't good at it, and I was motivated to do better. And I think because I was so keen on doing on training myself and getting better and better at it, I was given more and more opportunities. So I ended up from being a completely untrained, inexperienced, but enthusiastic presenter into one of the main broadcasters. I started getting more and more of the top tournament invitations. So I would work as a commentator at some of the strongest chess events, including World Chess Championships, which is like the peak of broadcasting if you think of any sport. World Championship at anything would be the biggest. So to me, of course, those were super big deal that I'm getting those opportunities. But until 2016, I was still competing too. And I was realizing that I'm balancing two very different things, because if you compete as a chess player, you need to focus on your own improvement, on your own openings. You need to train yourself. You need to be kind of in your zone and not really do the whole social media and marketing and stuff that comes with broadcasting or being a creator. While for tournament coverage, I was obviously learning more about the tournaments themselves, the players. For the interviews, I would get prepared in terms of like what other topics I can bring up just to make things more colorful for the coverage. And it was just so, it was chess, but two very different sides of chess. And I think I always knew that there would be a point where I need to pick. And when I wasn't chosen for the Olympic team in 2016, I felt like that's a sign in a sense that I tried so hard that year to be both, but I didn't make it to the team that year. I was like, okay, I tried. I didn't make it to the team, but I was already hesitating between the two. So I'm sad for not going to the Olympiad that year, but I'm just gonna focus more on broadcasting. And I was called, after I was not chosen for the team that year, I was called as one of the main reporters for the very same chess Olympiad, and I ended up going to Baku, Azerbaijan, to the same hall where they had Eurovision the year before, and it was like a super cool event being there as the main reporter for the official broadcast. And I think from then on, I never had a doubt that this is what had to happen, even though I still tried. I wanted to be on the team as a competitor, but it had to be this way, that I wasn't going to be chosen. And I ended up, from then on, I haven't competed. Not in a serious way. I mean, just hand and brain with Kevin and such.
The real competition. Yeah, I guess at some point you just got to make your choice and what you want to do for your future, because I can't really imagine you doing that now, like the competing side of thing. I guess whatever we do changes as a person as well, but I just can't see it in you, you know? I don't feel like you'd be happy at all if you went back competing.
I struggle. I struggle so much because I try to do sometimes on my stream challenges, like that would be to improve my online rating, which I never cared about, because I think with we also talked about, when you and I were talking about competition, you also told me that even my personality, I'm not really a competitive person. So when I play board games or other games, I don't really mind not winning. I think even as a chess player, I wasn't really focusing on, I need to destroy my opponent, I need to defeat them and crush them. It was more of for me, it was more of a personal growth journey that I just wanted to do better. I just wanted to improve and get better. And I compared myself to me and only me, past Anna versus present Anna.
It's like, it's not the battles, it's the war overall. You're trying to get to that like ultimate goal rather than these little things along the way. I kind of get that. Yeah.
But I no longer have that motivation in terms of chess as a competition. I have that motivation as a content creator. So I'm trying to do better as a streamer and a creator.
I think we're similar in that way. Like we motivate ourselves pretty easily for the most part. Like what do you think that is? Like where does that drive come from? Because obviously you must have had the drive with chess and you have it now for content, but like where is it coming from? Because even sometimes with me myself, I'm just like, I'm not even sure where my own drive comes from, because I think at one point I had a super poor work ethic when I was like late teens and whatnot, but at some point that just changed, and now I don't really know where it comes from.
It's a very good question. I don't even know if I'm gonna find the answer. I do feel like both you and I have that inner drive, and it's great to have it, because I feel like whatever you choose to do, but if that motivation comes from within and it's not about the money aspect, it's not about the promotion aspect, it's not about outer goals, then it's gonna make you happy truly, because we are passionate about what we do, and it makes us feel fulfilled when we make content, whether it's filming a video or streaming or even just planning out what we're gonna do on the upcoming occasions for streaming or any other content. So it's great to have it, but I don't know how we have it. I guess I don't know. I was gonna say something. So like, I guess it's like it's not something you are born with, but how does it develop? Is it how I would assume it certainly should have something to do with how you're educated as a child. What do you see? How her parents are. Well, you drop at the age of 16. What I mean is a tiny human being.
I didn't pay much attention though. Like I feel like I was a vastly different person when I was young. I don't know where it came from personally. It's an interesting question to think about. Yeah, but I certainly think that one's own parents, your closest relatives, your closest friends are role models in a way, especially parents at the start when you're just like 4 or 5 year old kid. And if you see that, I think I always saw that kind of dedication in my parents, because my mom, for instance, she's a teacher and she lives and dies for her job. She absolutely is passionate about it, even though she has been teaching for 35 years already, if not 40. Like, she has been a teacher forever. And she's so committed to her job that every new class, every new student is yet another opportunity for her to help them discover their passion about arts and make the most out of those lessons. It's not like she's trying to make everyone become a Picasso or go to art school. I think she genuinely finds a way to connect with the students to make them enjoy drawing or painting or sculpting and use those creative skills also in other fields. So it's not just a pastime, but then they start using those creative elements maybe in other subjects too, for other projects. And I guess because I saw my mom working like this, like being super committed and dedicated, and my dad is similar in his field. He does tons of research and about history and family trees and genealogy, and also there I thought it's very self-driven, because his first job was like he did have his IT job, but he got into genealogy because he was curious about where the surname of his mom comes from. So he literally started researching our own family tree because he wanted to know where the name comes from. And that led to him making family trees for the closest family members too and friends. And it has been his job ever since. He developed the job from something that was a passion project. I think those for sure inspired me in a way, but I don't know how this develops, because I wish everyone had that inner drive, because it's very fulfilling when you find it, and when you let that be your guide to what your job or passion project will be like. Because I know that not everybody can just quit their day job, even if they don't like it that much and they want to be a musician. I wouldn't say, oh, you should leave your full-time job and dedicate everything to becoming a singer or be a streamer or be a YouTuber. I think because the economical side of things is so important too, so that you can make it to the end of the day, that you can pay your bills. I would never say that put everything on one card, but certainly if you have a passion project, if you can develop it as a part-time job, do it in the evenings or at the weekends. If you are passionate about it, it's gonna make you feel so much happier about your life. Yeah, I think as well though, like, because we're very focused on, like, I'll call it work. I'm sometimes even hesitant to call it work, because this isn't really work, you know, what we're doing right now. This is just like having a chat. It's a really weird job.
What do you mean it's not work, Kevin? We scripted this whole thing.
Oh yeah, I forgot. But it's what was my thought process? I've gone off the rails.
Sorry,
yeah. No, you're fine. With jobs, like I don't think that is everyone's drive, and it's not like it's not a case of they don't have the drive. It just might not be their interest. Some people are like, I do my 9 to 5. It's grand, and my passion is building my family, or doing this hobby that I don't want to make it my job. I love playing golf every day, and that's all I want to do. So like there's nothing wrong with that either. It's just different strokes for different folks. Like
I think I didn't phrase it well, because what you added is really important, that it doesn't have to be your job. It can be your hobby, but as long as you have something that makes you feel like you're excited about the day because you're gonna do it. I think it gives just such an extra boost to your day and a meaning to your life. It makes you feel a lot more fulfilled, and that, I think, is at the end of the day, we all just wanna be happy, and things that can make you happy should come from within.
Yeah, like even just watching the chat now and seeing their feedback, and just people, like I see their perpetual pie saying, the things that I'm passionate about I don't want to do as a job, which is like totally understandable.
It has its downsides too, that our passion is our job, because it's never ending. With Kevin, we try to take time off, because your brain is constantly working on like, what can I do? Ideas, merch, stream. And it's just like a never ending thing, because you're so passionate about it that you want to do it always. Or even if you don't want to do it, your mind subconsciously is still thinking about ideas. So we try to take time off. We forced ourselves to take time off at least Friday and Monday afternoons and evenings, because if not, you go crazy. It's only work.
Yeah, and I think for me, like what I'm passionate about is making content, so that's what I want to spend most of my time doing. I've tried to move away from the other parts of this work and try and just focus on that. But I was what was I saying earlier? Saying about the different stuff. I've lost my train of thought now. Sorry, I lost where I was going. I was saying that different things for different people.
About the hobbies and what people were saying in the chat. I saw one of you saying that your passion is to imprison people in your basement. I don't know where you got that idea from. I don't know where you got that idea from.
Yeah, but I remember now where I was going. But like, I do think a lot of people would look at us and would say like, oh, that must be such a miserable life. You spend so much time working, and you spend so much time doing this and that, and you don't take days off and all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But again, it's just whatever makes a person happy.
Very true. Very true.
Like even just thinking about it myself, the drive as you described yours, I didn't have that drive when I was young. I think it happened when I kind of had the store. When I had my retail store, I had my own business, for those of you that don't know. And I think that's where I got my work ethic. It's not something, like I was passionate about it in a way, but it wasn't like I want to get in there and sell phones, I was passionate about the idea
phones
of having my business. And being I guess just successful and ambitious in that line of work. But then obviously I lost that when I had the accident, and then I guess my only outlet was the videos, because I couldn't really do much else. So I was just focusing on that, and that was just all my effort and drive was going into that, because that's all I had, and it just never went back, because I got so entwined with it. But it's interesting to think about.
It's great that you learned so much from having the store, that even if present Kevin wouldn't necessarily want to open a store, because as you said, you also can't picture me now competing at chess. It was a phase of our lives, like very important phases, sometimes even many years, but we have learned from it, and it led to who we are now. So you have learned a lot from having that store, and how you treat content creation since, even if you didn't have that drive, now you certainly have it.
Yeah, and I remember watching a video when I was young, when I was like about 17 or something, and I was doing content, and I remember the fella I was watching, it was like a Call of Duty video, and he was like, the worst thing ever would be to go into content creation as your first job and then having to face the real world. And I got that firsthand. It's like, it's not like I had the worst job in the world. I owned my own business, so it was stressful, but you know, there was a lot of benefits to that. So when I came back doing content, I realized how good we have it being able to do something we're so passionate about. And it's really easy to sink yourself into that when you really face that reality that you've got your passion project and people are actually interested in it. You know?
And also for those who like games, it can look like it's maybe not my one, because my channel mainly focuses on chess and then variety content, but you create variety content of any kinds, any games, and it could look like from the outside all you do is play games. Like your job is to play games in a way, and that to many could also, you did say that, oh, maybe our life looks like miserable, but I could also picture that a part of your community would consider it a dream job, because games are fun, and that's what you do for a living. At the same time, when that's your job, it's not as fun as it seems from the outside. So I think there are a lot of downsides to content creation, whether it's about gaming or chess or any other content that maybe is not that obvious from the outside, but it has its pros and cons. The good thing is we are passionate about it, so we go through the difficult parts as something that's, it's not pleasant, but we try to learn from it and grow.
Yeah, although I think it's more understood nowadays that there is a little more involved with it. Back in the day, it used to be that for sure. Maybe it's more common on Twitch because you could do your streams like that where you just come on and stream and you go live. But I think most people understand there's a bit more they have to do behind the scenes. Not saying, again, it's the hardest job ever. I would just say it's more time consuming. But I think
the emotional side of it, I think that I've just seen one of my viewers saying you need to have a tough skin to create content online. I agree with that, and what you were talking about with Dan is that there are these online comments, YouTube comments, one kind of genre, but also during your Twitch streams or my Twitch streams, any Twitch channel with a live chat, that's a core part of live streaming, and most people are so nice, so kind, so supportive, but then there are those like very few mean, rude, or straight out toxic comments that sometimes burn. Like sometimes even if it's just for a few seconds on the screen and the moderators would delete it or time at the person, maybe you have caught it and you're live on camera, so you try not to react to it because you don't want to be affected by one person out of 100 good comments. It's obviously a minority of the comments, but it can still hurt. We are humans with real feelings in real time, in real, like, on-camera reactions. It's sometimes I think the human side of it is a tough one. People forget that we are just normal people.
Yeah, you got to roll with the punches sometimes, and I think it can be hard to fully understand the situation, how it feels like if you're not in that situation, because when you say it sounds dumb sometimes, but then when it's in a live situation and maybe someone's saying, oh, I'm just coming up with something random, you're stupid for not figuring out this puzzle because X, Y, and Z, and you could internally be thinking like, oh my god, I'm so dumb for not thinking that. And it's kind of like doubling down on your own doubts. So sometimes people do strike a nerve and it just kind of gets at you. And even just simple things, sometimes like someone could come in, and I'm, again, random, this hasn't happened to me because I'm just making an example, at least it hasn't happened recently. Someone could come in and be like, oh, you should cut your hair, or like trim that beard, or you need a shave, or whatever.
Stop complaining about the hair, because I'm the hairstylist in this household.
But yeah,
no, I totally get you. Just anything about your appearance.
Yeah, it can be pretty taxing, but now I'm just like, if someone comes in like that and it's just picking apart like mannerisms or appearance or whatever, I'm just like, no, feck off. I try and be nice to everyone, but you don't do that. I'm not going to be mean to someone, because again, it could be anyone, and they probably don't mean it in a really rude way. They don't realize that it comes across that I'm just another person. It's like walking across the street, finding a random person. It's like, shave your beard, dude. It's like, you don't do that to people.
Yeah. I think that would be a great tip to any Twitch viewer, that if you wouldn't say that to a person in real life, approaching a person and saying it into their face, then perhaps you shouldn't say it in the comments.
When it comes to rude stuff
awkward.
anyway, for sure, when you're like, because obviously there are some things you wouldn't say in person, but like in an online space is fine. People are more upfront, like all the people being super nice in chat, you probably wouldn't say that in person either, but
yeah,
but it's kind of different.
Blankies.
Yeah, it's just a very unique situation, and I don't blame people for not for saying things that they don't realize the impact that it has, because it is just a weird situation, especially on Twitch. I think on YouTube there can even be a bit more of a detachment, because you're not watching the person in real time. It's not like, it doesn't feel like a real person. You're watching something they created, like, but it definitely happens on both platforms.
I think the real time, as you said, is just, it multiplies how much more difficult it is, because even today it wasn't like a very rude or mean comment, but I was just trying to give advice in general. We were talking about tomorrow's sub battle, so that's chess related, but then it went to a more overall how you can feel better about your day, like how to get into a better mood and how to have a better, more positive frame of mind, the mentality. I was talking about that, and my viewers were giving also just tips and advice what makes them feel better. How do you boost your mood, and how do you boost your good vibes? And then just some random person who I guess came over with a raid, because then they weren't there before, just started. I don't even know what they said exactly, but it was just like, this is so boring woman talk, like just like the generic women talk a lot, and that's what I'm doing. I'm just talking instead of moving the chess pieces, because I had the chessboard on the screen, but I wasn't talking about the game. I was trying to give an actual meaningful life advice from what I see from my viewers' conversation and my own personal experience. I'm not a life coach, but I thought that we had like a very meaningful and deep conversation, and then this random person just generic women talk a lot, kind of just like,
yeah, it's just, you're going to come across all folks in life and on the internet. All folks are free to say whatever they want, and sometimes you will get that rude person, and obviously it's going to stick out a lot more than the 100 people who were nice. And I wish our brains were wired differently. I think it goes for everyone. The one comment that hits you where it hurts is going to affect you a lot more than the 100 of nice things people have said. And I wish it didn't work that way, but sometimes things just get to you.
And it just cuts a flow, because even if, like, obviously the moderators, your team, my team, they are doing their very best, but even if it's just a few seconds, or maybe I didn't phrase it well, maybe the comment itself, it had something to do with women talk. It was, I think, a foreigner, so it wasn't exactly a proper English sentence, but what I meant with that is when you said that it's real time and live, that it cut the flow. We were having a really meaningful conversation, and then I see this comment, and it just hits you like, what? Yeah,
it takes you out of your moment, and it also like gives you that second of doubt, like, oh, was I doing it wrong? And it just you're just out of that moment in the conversation, like, yeah. And
also that generic thing about women talk and such, like there's a whole lot of like the sexist comments.
There's a lot of that on the internet, unfortunately. Yeah. I think girls have a lot harder time than guys for the most part when it comes to being on Twitch.
Do people
especially
ask for your OnlyFans?
Well, yeah, but that's just a meme.
I wish it was a meme on female streamer channels. I don't know why people think it's appropriate to even ask. Like, I'm teaching chess on most of my streams, or I try to play other games like Minecraft and GeoGuessr and such. Is that, how does a person come to just your channel and say, do you have OnlyFans?
I think it goes back to the people who typed that, and it could literally be a teenager, or the person has no social skills and they're just Like, there are people who say that stuff and they're like, this is a compliment. And like, no, it's not. But they just don't get it. Yeah. It's better to just like forget about it, because it's rough. People on the internet can be really rough.
Yeah.
And it's not fair, but there's not much you can do about it.
And again, it's just a very low percentage. So like, I think both Kevin and me are extremely lucky of having a very supportive and kind community. It's just those random people who are most likely not regulars, because like they're just somehow stumbling across your channel, and then first question, like it's probably the first and last question they ask in the chat, because that's the only thing they come here for.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels
and I even see people in the chat being like, how can they think that way? But I guess for someone who, like, I could see a person thinking that if they were in a position where maybe they've literally never been complimented in their appearance, and like if someone said that to them, they'd be like, oh, that person thinks I'm attractive or whatever, and they get this twisted notion in their head, and they think that that's a good thing, but obviously it's not. They're just lacking the social skills to see that, or they could just be a hateful person. One or the other. It's just, I don't know, I try and like see what kind of angles people could be coming from. Not that it excuses it. I'm just saying that, you know, it might not come from a hateful place. Again, not an excuse for the behavior. I'm just saying that it's possible. And I'd like to think that way, because at least the person will hopefully learn from it, and they'll change and they'll adjust. But
I don't know how you deal with those kind of things. I guess for you, since those can become a meme, it's like people can ask it in a funny way. In my case, they are not that funny, so we literally have commands like !weird champs and !respect about just objectification. Don't try to hit on me. Respect that I'm in a relationship. Like, just stop shipping me with other creators. There's so many things that people just think it's okay to do. I
think as well, it is harder for girls, again, because so many people have this backwards view that, like, if it's a girl who's successful, it's like, oh, that could have been me, but they got it because of the way they look. Whereas, like, while that would grind you down, I never get that, because no one's like, you wouldn't have got anywhere because you look good, because I don't.
Wait a second.
But do you know what I mean? So many women are written off because, like, oh, you just got there because you're good looking, and that's it. They've written you off in their head already. I
had that a lot with chess broadcasting. That reminded me of that, because chess is still a very male-dominated world, and the fact that I have one of the highest titles in chess, so there are certain ranks for measuring your knowledge and skills, and I have the International Master title, but there's one rank above it, which is the Grandmaster. I think I read an article that was just like with numbers. There's, I think it said about 2,000 Grandmasters in the world and about 4,000 International Masters. So I'm the one that's like the 4,000
I'm
group.
surprised that's that low, to be honest. I thought there'd be more for some reason. Just because it's such a popular game. Like, it's still like a decent number, but it's a worldwide game. It's been around as long as Max, you know, it's an ancient game. I hope so.
I don't know how accurate that article was, but I think it was just to show, like, roughly, if there are about 2,000 Grandmasters, 4,000 International Masters, and 600 million people playing chess, then it means that you're in a very, very tiny percentage of the people with that knowledge. So it's not for boasting, but it's just like, they take away the credit from me for getting to one of the highest ranks at chess because I'm a girl, and every time I was hosting one of the top chess events, I always got comments like, you were only put there as a commentator or as the host because you have a pretty face. To be fair, I never even considered myself the pretty girl. I was never the popular girl, and they think that that's my one leverage.
But I think, again, people don't understand that it's not a case of like someone could, again, just be thinking backwards, and they're like, why you present when this man higher level, and it's like, no, it's not about like just your chess knowledge. You have to have that skill in presenting, and that is a skill. It's not going to be fun if there's some guy up there and he's like, pawn to e5. That's very good. Good.
Do you think it wouldn't be good commentary if you just mumble into the microphone, never look up into the camera? Because obviously presentation skills and communication skills don't matter, but you can talk about chess for 5 hours like this, and this is absolutely entertaining and so engaging to watch, and no one would get bored or fall asleep.
And maybe some people legitimately want that. They literally want no fun. Yeah. It's like, I want to hear the moves. That is it. That is what they're there for. So you're not going to be like, there's going to be a minority of people who literally only want to see the pieces move and the strategies used, but like that is a super minority. And even from what you told me about the chess world and stuff like that, like there do seem to be some people who only want the best people playing classical games 3 hours long. That is the format. Very little talking. You're just covering the games. But they don't understand that while that might be great for them, it's not going to grow the sport for an online audience or anything.
Exactly.
And it's crazy how much it's grown, you know?
I thought you hit the nail there on the head, because it's true that like there are people who really want that, but it's not what could reach a mainstream audience, because it's impossible to even understand sometimes for a club player, let alone a lower level player. It's just that would be like a niche. I consider that a niche, and they don't see that outside that purist, I want the best of chess with just like 3 hours. 3 hours actually is a short time. They could play for 5-6 hours too.
Oh yeah, sometimes I just knock out a 3 hour game when I've got a spare 3 hours. I have my food and I'm like, I got 3 hours, I'll play a game.
What I was trying to say with that, as a relation to what you said, is that PogChamps is one of the most successful chess events in history. And that includes like world championships in terms of viewership and engagement and how many people cared about it and tuned in or read about it or just knew about it. PogChamps is an event, for those who may not know it in your community, although I hope that you will be playing in PogChamps 4, is a chess tournament for gamers, streamers, content creators, where they start basically at zero. They only know how the pieces move. Most of them are complete beginners. We coach them for a couple of weeks or a month before the tournament, and then they compete against each other. So it certainly is very far from grandmaster level and perfect chess, but it's actually how chess should be, because chess should be accessible to everybody. And it's not only chess games that are played by the best of chess players should matter and be watched. It's anybody's game. It's the cool thing about chess. It's inexpensive. You can literally create a free account if you want to play online within 10 seconds. Very easy to learn just the 6 pieces that are on the board, and you can go and start. I think that elitist part of chess, the elitist part of the chess community, and with the gatekeeping of how that's PogChamps is a beginner tournament, it doesn't appreciate how PogChamps has brought chess a lot closer to many people. Pokimane competing, Mr. Beast competing, and so many other creators who weren't playing chess before, and now they compete in this tournament, so their communities start to be interested in the game too, and they tune in to root for them. I think it's one of my all-time favorite chess events. It's great that it doesn't have that high-level expectation, because it's so much more understandable, it's so much closer to the viewers as well.
Yeah, and it's totally unexpected, isn't it? Because it has that amateur kind of level to it. You don't know what's coming. But it's been interesting to watch chess explode like that, because I remember saying to you, I don't know, was it when I first met you, and it was in Berlin or something, but we started talking about chess, and I remember talking about that, because you were talking about chess and you were like, oh, it's like a limited thing or whatever. And I was like, I don't know, I've seen that happen before. Like even esports, a perfect example. It was such a niche thing. No one had any interest. And now you have like these tournaments with millions upon millions and millions of prize funds, and it's been wild to watch that as well. But the same thing kind of happened on chess, granted on a smaller scale than esports. But having said that, the esports thing has been over the past about 10 years or so. So who knows what the ceiling is for chess, and the same with esports. It's not at its full potential yet. It'll be interesting to see where chess goes.
I think it's something that you kind of predicted without me even understanding it could happen, because I remember that conversation when I met you at TwitchCon in Berlin. So that's 2 years ago. It's when we met in Berlin, and when I told you about I stream chess and just like we asked each other about what we do, and I really felt like I'm in this niche area that will stay niche. So a lot of people know how to play chess and maybe like to play chess with their grandpa or friends. It doesn't mean that they will start watching chess broadcast or chess streams. So I felt like even though it's a game most people know about or have heard about, it doesn't mean that the content in chess will be watched by hundreds of thousands. And you predicted this chess boom before any of us in the chess field had an idea about
I
it.
didn't, just to be clear, I'm not Mystic Mac. I didn't predict the boom.
Future teller.
But I just thought there was potential for a boom. I didn't actually like predict anything. But it's just having seen it happen in other niche things before. It was like, it felt like there was room for it. Because again, you summed it up perfectly earlier. There's no point in me repeating it. It's so accessible to everyone, and anyone can understand it. Like I saw a few of your events early on and didn't understand half the terms. Like it's like trying to think, what is flagging and all this, and they were just like playing out the games. But at least there were parts like the blitz games, the fast ones, where I'm like, I know how the pieces move. I can digest this, and it is kind of fun to watch, even though I don't fully understand the strategies behind it, the openings, and I still don't know them. Even some of the terms I just didn't know. But there was
I think my streams back then were aimed at a higher level audience in that sense.
I mean
back
more
then it was
the
very chess
events,
based.
like the events themselves.
It's a lot. That's even more so. Sorry, 1 second.
That's fine. Sodafop Master Indie Dobby, thank you very much for the subs.
I don't know how you're doing with allergies today, but I've been struggling a little bit.
Oh, I just decided not to have them today because when we had the podcast scheduled and everything, I was thinking, what's the point having allergies, you know?
I wish I could decide like you, but yeah, we both have those days. It's not too bad, but it's also not one of my best days in terms of.
It's weird because the allergies they're such a trivial thing, but when you're live streaming, I had them the other day and I was just sniffling and I feel so bad, but there's nothing you can do. Like we're both on prescription medicine for allergies, but sometimes it doesn't work. But anyway, what were we saying? At the
think
Twitch
just about
thing,
chess broadcasts are what we were saying is that it was like not so easy to understand, but PogChamps on the other hand, that would be like the complete opposite of like how accessible it makes it, that the competitors themselves are very close to the viewers level or just a little bit above. So it's the perfect balance between just what is on the board in terms of the chess content, but also how you can follow their journey and learn together with them if you are interested, if you're a fan of Poki or Michelle or CodeMiko or Nico, just all those creators that have a fan base already, and then you follow through their streams how they are learning from only knowing how the pieces move to then they learn the basic concepts in the opening, their first checkmate patterns, the ladder checkmate that you like to give as well in your puzzles and games. And I think it just feels like such a cool thing, not just in chess but in anything, that you can follow from zero to hero their progress and root for them while you are learning together with them. So whether it's chess or not chess, I'm trying to do a similar thing now with Magic the Gathering, where I'm the noob and I have a coach and I'm gonna have to learn within a few weeks to a decent level. I try to get to a decent level at Magic the Gathering because I'm gonna compete at it. And one of my opponents is then the villain, RT Game. So I'm terrified already. But I thought, because I was involved and hopefully will be involved in PogChamps as a coach for the upcoming events too, I really like this. I really like projects or events that take in the absolute beginners, and then you can learn together with them and root for them when they show up for the competition. So I think it's great with any game. I wish I could be better at actual gaming like Minecraft.
What's that been like, learning games? Because I don't think I know anyone. Like, I know people, obviously, that have no interest in gaming, never have, never will. Most people I know, probably because of my interest in it, but even people like my sister, who's not been that into games, still plays a little bit, like has a Switch, plays casual games. I don't think I've ever met anyone who had literally none except for like MS-DOS game experience and then started gaming at your age, you know? And what's that been like? Because you don't have that time where you're a kid and you don't care if you fail the thing 100 times. You're just happy to be playing Super Mario. So you're jumping along, failing over and over again. As an adult, I can imagine it must be frustrating and difficult to learn something that you literally have no knowledge about.
I think I was just worried about how the viewers will see it, if it's painful to watch someone being as bad as me. Because as you said, I have no gaming background except for playing as a kid MS-DOS games that would involve moving with the arrow and space for jumping. And that would be just like Disney games or even older games. Even chess I learned through an MS-DOS game called Battle Chess. So it was just very basic mouse skills or arrows and space. But it was never the accuracy of the mouse click. Even the funny thing about that is that even if I play online chess, so it's still the same game where I had been competing as a professional, but I'm bad at online chess because my mouse accuracy is terrible. I misclick, I cannot grab the piece quickly enough, so I would lose on time or I run too low on time. So even when it comes to chess, I don't have the mouse skills that it would take to be good at online chess in speed chess. And with other games, it's just, I feel like I'm really keen on learning. I always have been a person that likes to get better at anything in a sense of like self-fulfillment. I feel like, oh, I learned something new. Oh, I picked this up. I picked that up. So I'm really enthusiastic and keen on learning new things. But I also feel like with gaming, when we play Fall Guys or The Binding of Isaac, there are limitations to what I can do because I don't know even how to hold the controller properly. And Kevin has been teaching me, but it used to be just like very brutal movements of my thumbs, like it's this or that. There's like, no in between.
There was stuff that you just wouldn't even think to tell people, because obviously most people in the chat would play games, at least on my end. You'd pick up a controller, you hold it like this. But Anna was playing like by herself for like an hour, and she was holding the controller like, I can't remember, you were like holding it like this or something, and you were moving it and you destroyed the analog stick. Like the whole top came off because of the way she was going like this with her hand over and over again for driving, and like it was so awkward. I didn't understand how you even like picked it up and went that way. But of course, to you've never seen people using them, you don't know how to use it, so you pick it up and you're just like, how do I hold the thing? And you just figured it out by yourself. You just got to the wrong conclusion, unfortunately. But you've gotten a lot better at games now, and just seeing like obviously the mechanics and how games work. It's confusing to jump into video games when everyone else knows enough to the point where they overlook all these basic things, and they're telling you about X, Y, and Z and their stats, and you need to do this and time this, when you just need to know how to walk. So it must be frustrating in a way that you're just trying to get the basics, and it must be a struggle.
I think as long as my viewers understand, and luckily again with your own platform that's the case, so I know that my Twitch community knows it. I was slightly worried if your community will find it painful to watch someone being as bad as me at Minecraft too, because it's again, that's a game that's not too difficult, so I'm not playing Call of Duty or anything else that would require proper gaming skills.
And anything that puts me in pain, like when I organize those boats with the cows, and then suddenly you can drive a boat perfectly, and you bring it all the way around to where I didn't need it to be. Oh, they love it. They feed off it. It's just like the Chaos mod. They love it. Anything that pains me is good for them.
I'm gonna have an upcoming video about some of the highlights of my deaths and near-death moments in Minecraft with Kevin. And my editor changed my name from N_chess to N_chaos, thanks to your community suggestion. So it's gonna make it to the video. I guess I embrace it. So I'm okay with being bad as long as people know that they come in here for someone who's literally worse than most viewers. So it's not like I don't have competitive gamer skills. I don't have any gaming skills, not even a basic level.
It's just a learning process like anyone. And as long as people are understandable, I think it helps that my channel are just like, we just happen to be into games, whereas I wouldn't say it's a super like gamer crowd, you know? Like, we really like games and it's a fun hobby and whatnot, but it's not like I'm a channel where I play Rainbow Six Siege all day and I'm like a competitive gamer. Like, I'm not very good at games myself either, so it helps. It helps when they come in like that.
Gavin sometimes tries to pretend he's not good at games, but even when we just play with friends, like last night, and we were just playing mini games in Pummel Party, and all of us, the rest of us from our friend group, would die in that mini game, and Kevin keeps going and keeps scoring even when it already didn't matter because he's just so good at
just rubbing
games.
Salt in the wound, you know.
Exactly.
It's so easy. Eyes
Superior
closed.
creature.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm super bad at games, but also, like, I play them a lot, so like naturally you're gonna have some sort of I guess skill at games, but I'm not good at it. Like, I think there was a point when I was younger when I was good enough at like Call of Duties and stuff, because that's all I played, and I went into them with the idea that I want to win and I want to get a bit better. Same at League of Legends. At some point I wanted to get better. I don't have that drive anymore. It doesn't interest me, where I don't want to go onto League, learn about all the champions, learn about what counters what, you get the best items. I just do whatever I find fun and whatever's enjoyable. And sometimes I get competitive with games. Like, I want to try and win. Like, even Fall Guys, I want to win, you know, I want to get that crown, stuff like that. But it's more of an enjoyment thing rather than like a competitive thing, you know? But yeah, I'm not good.
I didn't mean it in a way that I think it's just you have those skills, but you focus on comedy in your content. So that's not the point of you playing it. You don't play the game to be achieving, I don't know, a speed run or just or the crowns in Fall Guys. I guess in Fall Guys you would still try, but most of your videos and stream content would be focusing on entertaining people and making it fun. My lights have gone off.
But yeah, it is just
it's not what is the focus? What's the purpose of the stream or the content?
Yeah, no one's gonna get good at games watching me, but there is an enjoyment of getting those serotonins when you get the epic victory royale. You know, like when I was playing Fortnite with Henry, I don't know who we were playing against. It was probably literally 5-year-olds on like mobile or something, because we were destroying. And you're just like, yes, crowns, victory royales. But it's not fun to just be super competitive for me. So I try, but if I don't succeed, I'm like, yeah.
But isn't that crazy whatever. That when you did your Fortnite little video compilation of just the dance moves and such for your April Fool's video, which was obviously a very sad, emotional song
sad.
That you recorded. So when you recorded that song and you made the music video for it, you just went into playing Fortnite with Henry to have some footage for the music video. So all you needed was just some of the dance moves and shooting, and even like this, that you went into the game for the music video's purpose, you still ended up getting that victory royale. Is that how it's
epic
called?
Victory royale.
Epic victory royale.
But there was something fecky with that, because we went in, I was expecting to lose every game, and all the footage of the in-game would actually be me dying instead of getting kills. But it turned out we won every single game we played. But there was something up with the matchmaking where we went in, it must have been like, these guys have never played before, we're gonna put them in with, like, it felt worse than AI. Like, if you made a game with that AI, you'd be like, I have failed as a developer. Because there was one moment, it was the first game we played, we did basically nothing, we were just messing around, and we got to the last, like, team. There was one other solo dude who had lived. And then we look over and he's just walking across the field towards us. And then he starts firing and he's just like shooting everywhere as he's walking towards us. I was just like, do we just kill him? Or like, that was probably some 5-year-old that it literally meant the world to them. Family gathered around the Switch going, you can do it, you can do it. And then like 2 grown adults come along and it's like, not today, kiddo. Time for a life lesson. Life isn't fair.
They
we
just
were
wanted
definitely
to
with
chug
kids.
with you.
Chug. Unfortunately,
with you.
Anna, I'm gonna have to really question your gamer knowledge because Chug is no longer in Fortnite. It's been removed from the game. You can't Chug anymore. The item was overpowered, so it was removed. I only learned that recently. It's a thing. It puts up your health and shield full, and it's gone. It's not in it anymore.
It's gone?
It's gone. Gone forever.
How?
I don't know.
Oh no, I thought my next project could be to become a Fortnite gamer after your music video inspired me so much.
I'm getting a bit emotional. I can't talk about this. I can't, because even the song in my head is just, it's hard to listen to.
I know. This is very sad.
This is so sad. I like
so sad.
Play Chug. That kid, that must be really weird for that kid who sang that song, because he literally took this little idea from a TikTok, did a full cover of the song, and all of a sudden it has millions of views out of nowhere. Like, that must be so weird for that kid, because I can't really even imagine doing that now. Like, if I did a video and it got millions of views out of nowhere and it became such a meme that like everyone like who's into kind of internet culture and stuff like that knows about it.
Of that.
It would be so weird as a child.
Yeah, sorry, I cut you there. That reminded me of another clip that went viral, and Nico's OK Boomer. So that TikTok dance is also something that I think most people who use the internet would know. And I was lucky to get to know Nico. She was one of my students for PogChamps. And I think even to her, as a grown-up, to digest that from one day to the other, millions of people know about you, that was just such a shock. And the first couple of months she didn't fully know. From the articles I read about it, she wasn't really comfortable with it or knew how to deal with it, that suddenly from 100 or 200 viewers stream of League of Legends where she was playing casually, now she has thousands of people showing up, and it just came so suddenly that I think even for a grown-up like Nico, it was something that was difficult to get used to and learn how to deal with. How could it be even, of course, a lot more difficult for a child than like, what is this success? Like, how do you, it's a very positive thing, but at the same time it comes so suddenly that you're not exactly ready for it in that moment. I don't know what's with him, if he made new songs since.
I don't know, but for a bit of context on my stream, you probably saw this clip of a girl wearing a Bernie Sanders t-shirt doing the dance. It was like a TikTok. It was like, whatever you say, boomer, blah, 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 you know, that kind of thing.
Whatever you say.
It must have been very weird for her, all right, because I imagine, again, not saying anything about the content, but just I can imagine the amount of people who just saw, oh, pretty lady, and just went to her Twitch. And you know, you do get those kind of people sometimes that are just there for her looks or whatever. A very different community than she was probably used to. It must have been super, like, a big shock.
Exactly. And Moist Critical, Charlie had a a really good video on that, I think, when he went through of the OK Boomer and what happened with her Twitter and just everything blowing up, and how a lot of those people, but like tens of thousands of people, unfollowed the moment they realized that she has a boyfriend. And it's like, Nico never said she didn't have a boyfriend. Like, she didn't put herself out there as like, I'm your future wife.
Yeah.
It's just that people had that kind of parasocial implication of projecting that this is a girl they can just dream about and marry one day. Those kind of very strange fan situations of just like, yeah, this is weird, champ.
This is weird, champ. That is not poggers at all. I'm still not fully like up to date with all these Twitch emotes and whatnot and what means what. Like, I couldn't explain what a pog is, but I know what it is. And the same things with like easy clap. I understand that now somewhat. It's a strange but lovely culture Twitch has in that way. It just has a sense of community that just naturally forms on each person's channel. Like, obviously everyone's community is different, but it does just encourage whatever they've done. I don't know what it is. Is it a combination of how they've done the chat and you've got the emotes and you've got like the sub thing? I don't know what it is, but there's definitely like something they've done to create that community. Because if you stream on YouTube, you don't get that. Like, you get people in the chat. I think Sean actually, I was talking to him about this one day with Dan and Dahi. And it's like, if I streamed on YouTube, for example, I'd have a lot more viewers because that's just the platform I grew on. But it doesn't feel like as heavy as Twitch. If you have 5,000 people on YouTube, it feels very kind of passive. But if you're on Twitch and you've 5,000 viewers, you feel that amount of viewers that are watching. Like, the chat's going nuts. The whole community's going nuts. Sending blankies. It's really weird, and I haven't been able to fully figure out why Twitch has that sense of community. Other than pointing out a few things like I have, you could point to like bits and bobs, but I guess it's just collectively, for whatever reason, the platform just, the communities like that just thrive, and you do get a sense of community, I think, more than most other platforms. It's interesting. Especially coming from YouTube.
Yeah, I think what you said is the difference between the two platforms. I couldn't have described it better, and just how this feels a lot more like an actual hangout, a gathering of like-minded people. And I think during the pandemic, places like Twitch were a really cool place to be, because so many of us couldn't go anywhere or still cannot go anywhere. And we need online places like this where you have this sense of community, that you see familiar faces, you make friends in the community, whether on our Twitch channels, on our Discords, or any other platforms. Like, it doesn't necessarily, of course, have to be ours, but I feel like this type of community building and engagement has helped a lot of people in general in the world, throughout the world, through the pandemics, and ourselves included, because it gives a sense of social hangout feeling, even if it's just online, but it's still a social interaction. And the pandemic was and is such a rough and extremely challenging time to go through. It's great that we have places like this where we can feel a bit more normal.
Yeah. And I think it's helped a lot, and it's definitely changed my perspective on a lot of things. Like, I feel more appreciated as a person rather than just videos, you know, because I felt like it was just videos on my channel. And while the feedback was so nice and everyone was lovely on there as well, I think it just hits harder when it's live for some reason. Like, again, when I go through the comments and they're positive, again, you get that like huge serotonin and you're like, oh, awesome, that video went over well or whatever. But you do just get that sense of community on Twitch that kind of builds you up a bit, and you're just encouraged to be you a bit more, and you feel like there's more, that people like me more than just a supplier of a few laughs a day, you know, which is nice.
I think that surprised both of us, because I I remember past Kevin who was making YouTube videos and was really good at it because your sense of humor is so original. You come up with very creative ideas. So you were doing really well on YouTube, but then last year, more or less about the same time when we both decided to, I went full-time from part-time, I went full-time on Twitch, and you started adding Twitch streams to your YouTube. And I think to you, the shift between realizing how people are not only here for your comedy and your content in that sense, but they also are here for you. I remember the Kevin that used to tell me that you're not an interesting person, and I never understood.
Well, I still don't think I'm an interesting person.
About?
Like, Jesus, I sit on my computer all day. I'm not an interesting person in that way. But
you have such a crazy career, even to go through all the things that you talked about in your Draw My Life, and just the fact that at the age of 16 you leave school to then start a YouTube career. You move to Scotland, then you come back. You open a store, then a car hits you, so you can't continue with the store. You go back to YouTube, and this is just a very, very bullet point summary of what people should check out in your Draw My Life, because you said, I think every person has a very unique life journey, but you have just multiplied the things that normally happen to people.
I think, like you say, if you put it out in bullet points, it sounds interesting, but I think with most...
I skipped a lot of parts. I was trying to speed it up.
What I mean is when you get out bullet points, I think everyone has an interesting story to tell, but I think on a day-to-day basis, my life is not interesting. I do mainly the same things over and over again. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I like my life that way. I like just chilling out. I like doing my streams, my videos, but from an outside perspective, my day-to-day life is extremely boring and extremely tame. Like, I don't get up to anything nuts. So that's what I mean when I say that.
We have been in a lockdown since you started streaming more, and that means that we can't really be up to anything.
But I think outside the lockdown, I mean, just in general, I'm always like, thank you for the nice words in the chat. Everyone's being very nice. I do really appreciate that. It's just, this is just how I feel. And I don't mean it in a bad way. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, that I don't think I'm that interesting of a person. I don't see it. I have no problem with it either, you know?
I think you're a very, very interesting person, and also a very caring and supportive person, which people get. They see that you have a good heart, you're caring, and it's not just your content, but they care about you because you care about them. You literally want to cheer people up, and they feel that you care. It's not like you just show up because, oh, I'm gonna now get 7,000-8,000 viewers and it's gonna be a good day for my stream. It's just you don't come across as a person who would be in it for just making a living out of it, or just for the financial benefits of being a content creator. I think it so comes across that you started it out of passion when you were a teen, and you're still in it for your passion, and every single day you
I've
just
been
want
falling up my entire life somehow. But it's the same like with the chat. Like, why it's not like I'm going to entertain everyone and make them all feel happy. It's like it works both ways. Like the community makes me happy.
We need you guys. We need you guys more than you need us. No, but for real, it happened to me so many times. Even when a couple of years ago I was really not going through a good time, and I had so many days when I was crying before I would go live. This was a couple of years ago when I think I was struggling with depression and just not knowing really what I'm doing with my life. And it happened to me so many times, even back then, that I was crying 10 minutes before I went live, and then I fixed my eyes a little bit, and once I hit start streaming, and even if it was just a handful of people around, because my channel was a lot smaller, but that kind of positive vibe and just the kindness that they were projecting toward me increased my mood, even in my worst period of life. I can thank a lot to Twitch in the sense that it helped me through my most difficult times, because even if I could barely make myself stream, but I ended up hitting start stream, and the viewers made me feel a lot better, even if they didn't know what I was going through.
Yeah, I think it does help a lot that way. The same as if you're down and your first inclination is just to hide away or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it can help to get some support from friends, family, and Twitch is in another way the same kind of effect, where you're getting all these people who are being so nice and supportive, and it does just cheer you up. And it kind of works two ways as well, because you get that distraction factor too. So you got all these people being super nice, supportive, and you're doing something that takes you away from your worries for a while.
Yeah, true.
It's nice. It really is. And again, that's another benefit that Twitch has. I feel like I'm just shitting all over YouTube. I don't mean that. I love YouTube. I've been doing videos for like a decade now, on and off. But it's just, it is a bit different. You know, I can't, if I go to record a video to distract myself, I'm still alone with myself. I'm just talking to my camera just like I am now, except there's no one to talk back.
Hey, so they're the friends.
Twitch is just different that way. Twitch hits different that, you know. But I still love YouTube, and I'm still like passionate about it. But it's just they have their different pros and cons, you know.
Certainly, I thought it was really insightful, your episode with Dan, and the discussion you had also about the YouTube or Twitch, which one would you pick? And Dan instantly said Twitch for the reasons you mentioned. Say? Oh, absolutely Twitch. I don't even have a YouTube presence in that way.
I kind of knew that answer, but I just wanted to see how fast would you go. See, it's much harder for me.
Wondering about you. Which one?
It's much harder for me because, like I said, both have their pros and cons. And YouTube in a way feels like my home, because I've been there. Like I started making videos when I was 16. I'm 27 now. So again, there was periods where I went away, but it's like that's where I started, and I have this weird loyalty to YouTube in that way. But at the same time, just some of the things I've gone through where they've like demonetized content for no reason, accused me of hate speech, and I can't even, you know, request a review because they said someone on their end somewhere in the world confirms that I'm doing hate speech. And I'm like, but I'm not. And the partner program, it just feels like, while I love YouTube as an idea, the platform is very easy to dislike. And I'm definitely not as far gone as some creators who hate YouTube. Everything they do, they're like, bad idea, stupid, dumb, tweeting at them. I'm not that way. I understand some of the things they need to do. I get the demonetization stuff, because you can manually review every video. There has to be systems in place, and no system is perfect, especially from the get-go. But there are concerns with YouTube that are valid concerns that they don't address. And it's disappointing, having been on the platform for so long. Whereas Twitch, definitely, it feels a bit more welcoming, and they have that luxury because they're small. And it's weird to say because Twitch isn't small, but compared to YouTube, it is. And they're still growing. It feels like, to me, it feels like 2012 YouTube, what Twitch is. But it just to have like someone who they email me from Twitch, and they help me with my stuff. Now it's not really much, like I don't really need help, I just do my own thing. But if I wanted to talk to someone tomorrow because my channel got deleted, I had an issue, I could have someone on the other end like within a few hours. Whereas YouTube, it's like, wait 30 days, we will get in touch via a bot. It's like, great. I
could not believe that when you made the switch and they weren't getting back to you except for that auto message.
I think I caught them well with the tweet where I literally said in the tweet, can you help me other than your generic 30-day copy and paste tweet? And then they were stuck. And I think that is why it worked. I think it's because the other creators responding and retweeting my tweet, and all the people who follow me tweeting and just being like, YouTube, what the fuck, help him out. That's the only reason it worked. because otherwise it's the biggest coincidence in the world. I'm waiting for 2 days, radio silence, and then after that tweet, 40 minutes and my channel was partnered. It's like, really? Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be like tweeting at someone publicly and putting them on blast. I really don't want to, but it feels like they kind of push you into a corner, and it's like, I guess I just need my community's help with this one, because I can't get anywhere after trying for 2 days. But I don't know, they disappoint me in ways.
The cult did it.
The cult did it. The cult works in mysterious and powerful ways.
Why are you quoting Kevin? That's another, I think that would be another episode to talk about one of our hidden role models. I've never said it on stream either, so feel free to keep it a secret. There are things that maybe are too much to handle.
I don't get it, because there's loads of things you could say about that. You could say Hasselhoff, Bimson, you could literally say anything, so I'm not even sure which one you're referring to.
I meant the person that I met that person in person too, so I think it
could still be David Hasselhoff. But if you met him in person, I'm not gonna get you to say, because it's putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I think we both of our communities have a lot of these meme jokey role models or characters. I thought you were quoting a song that's written by a musician that I ended up meeting in person, and I thought it was gonna be, you know. I don't even know how to describe it.
I don't really follow.
It feels different. Like, we met David Hassel, but we couldn't talk to him directly. So I think if the person you
talked
meme
to him,
about,
he just didn't talk back.
For instance, Brandon Fraser. Which one was the right pronunciation?
I think it was Fraser, because I was calling Brendan Fraser, and then it got corrected, I think, one day, and I was in shock.
Brandon Fraser. I guess if he was a person that we know from real life, maybe we wouldn't go as far as worshipping him this much. We would be very,
well, of course not. That would be weird.
Politely admiring his career. Yeah, it is different with creators that you meet, because we do meme a lot also off camera, but some of that is just, it's funny because we know them in person. It wouldn't be that funny on the internet, I think.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I'm still kind of lost at where you're going with this, but I agree with the idea behind it. Right, I think it's time we finish up, but before we do, I gotta know, was the Olympics all it was cracked up to be? Did it live up to the dreams of the vitamin? The vitamin cutout?
Can I show you the picture? I found the picture.
I don't think I have a way of actually putting it on my stream.
No, if I send it here, maybe.
No, I don't.
Really?
Just tweet it out. People can take a look on your Twitter.
I can show it on my stream, and I'm sending it to you if there's any way you can open it, or people can check it on my one. I'm just gonna open it real quick on my screen before I answer that very important question. This is Anna at the age of 11, 12. I don't know how old I am in that picture. And I glued that logo onto it from the vitamin box I cut it out from. I thought that achieving it, of course, was a huge deal for me, but I thought of the Olympic team as a more like an ideal role that is, and everything's gonna be like amazing once I'm on the team. I think as soon as I got onto the team, and of course I was extremely happy for it, I just realized that no, this is also really stressful, because you're representing an entire country, and when you play a game, you are not only playing it for you, but on that one move mistake, the entire country's result is depending. So I don't think as a kid I realized that if chess competitions were making me nervous, this would just multiply how stressful and nerve-wracking that situation is, the high pressure tournaments. And then I had to learn how to just try to be calmer during games. A lot of pep talk. You talk to yourself a lot. As a chess player, if you want to make it through, you need to be your own cheerleader. I remember games when mid-game I would go to the bathroom just so that I could just shut the door and just like try to make myself feel a bit more just believing in myself, kind of like when you are just not even without saying anything, and this is gonna be like super awkward, like why is she in the bath, why is she in the toilet, but just those moments when self-doubt hits and you need to turn it low, and you need to tell yourself that you can do things, whether at chess or anything, an exam. I always say exams, job interview, a date, anything that's important to you, a stage performance. And self-doubt is something that I think is one of our biggest enemy, and just those type of feelings that make you not fully confident about your own skills and abilities. And I think I learned a lot about just high pressure tournaments, how in life you need to fake it till you make it, but also just remind yourself that you are there for a reason and you are your own biggest opponent. I think that would be my final conclusion about that learning process, is that I could only do well if I managed to shut down the Anna that was telling me that I'm not good enough, I'm not gonna make it, I'm gonna ruin this game, people are watching and they're gonna be disappointed. Just all those thoughts that come in during games or during competitions, and you need to be very good at your mindset and switching back to the right frame of mind as soon as those doubts hit, and as soon as you realize that it's in your control how you feel about the game and how you feel about just your self-esteem and confidence overall.
Yeah. Oh, is that
was my phone.
Your alarm to get off the
phone.
podcast? You had it timed perfectly. What the hell?
I don't know if my rambling made much sense overall.
No, it did. It's interesting as a person who's never been in that kind of position, you know? It's just a totally different world to me. But it is very interesting. Thank you for your insight, Anna.
But I don't think I would now, present day Anna, wouldn't have the same dream. Present day Anna is very happy being a content creator.
That's good to hear. You got on the right journey to arrive at the right destination, which is nice.
Thank you for having me on the Call
No
Me
problem. Thanks for coming on
Ep.2.
and having a bit of a chat. It's always nice to have a bit of a talk and be fully present in a conversation rather than just playing games and focusing on that and being distracted.
Well, we'll still play a lot of Binding of Isaac and GTA and Zelda, right?
No. I'm giving up games now. I'm becoming a chess streamer. I'm going to be on the Olympics.
I mean, you're a child prodigy, so all your future is still there. To go and grab it. Go and grab it, champ.
Yeah, I think I will. All right, I'm going to go practice my chess. Anna, thank you for joining us. Your link is being linked in the chat there quite a bit if people want to check out Anna's channel.
Thank you, and the same on my channel. I have a Kevin comment, exclamation mark Kevin. It's very useful too when I get marriage proposals and viewers start hitting on me or shipping with other creators. Just, I try to make sure people understand I'm not here for those kind of things on Twitch, and still it's misunderstood sometimes.
The internet. What can you do? Anyway, Anna, thank you, and enjoy the rest of your stream. If you're streaming more, I don't know if you're finishing up or... I will be wrapping up too, and probably we'll see you for dinner. Good. There you go. All right, goodbye, Anna. Goodbye, Anna's chat. Bye, everyone at the Call Me Kevin community. Bye.